Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Church Stories. For those that are never seen a church story before, these are true stories that my wife and I have gone through in church down through the years. I became a born again Christian back in 1993, and I got saved in what's called a storefront apostolic church. It's in the middle of the inner city, and we would go to church Monday night. We had Monday night prayer. Wednesday night we had Bible study. Friday night we had Youth for Christ. Saturday was spent with choir rehearsals as well as usher board, deacon meetings, all of that blah blah. Sundays we'd have 7 a.m. prayer. Then Sunday school started at 9:45, and then church actually started at 11. And we would get out anywhere between 4 and 6 p.m. on Sundays. The church also had 7 a.m. prayer and noonday prayer. So if you were not employed, as the pastor would say, your job was to be at prayer. Good luck finding a job when you're spending the whole day at church. But that's what we got saved in. That's what we got raised in. And today's church story is the fact that my church, this little apostolic church in Waterbury, Connecticut, was the very first learing center, like the ones in Minneapolis. The only thing was we weren't defrauding the government or stealing money. But I'll explain in a second. You'll understand why. The church, Saturdays was spent, like I said, either in meetings, choir rehearsal, or during the summer, we would do fundraisers. And what the church started doing is for 2 to 3 weeks every single summer, we would do a Hooked on Phonics program for the inner city kids, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And we would have the inner city kids come to the church. We had classrooms set up. Members of the church would be the teachers, and we'd teach these young kids how to read. And we would use the Hooked on Phonics program to do it. Well, one year it was for the graduation, and we'd have the graduation outside in the parking lot, and we'd have tents set up, big giant tent. We'd have seats out there, a podium. And then this one year, it was a really big event, and we had newspapers coming. Remember, this is the 90s. This is before cell phones were just starting to come out. So there was no real YouTube or internet back then. We had newspapers coming out. We had the mayor come and give a speech. And it was a big event. So we had chairs all out there. And the way it was set up was, like I said, in the parking lot. And then the church was behind the podium. So it was a giant brick wall, and it had a mural on there, a biblical mural painted on the wall. But the church ordered a giant Hooked on Phonics banner that we hung up on the wall, and it was right up behind the podium where the speaker was speaking. And I don't remember who was speaking at the time, but I was sitting down, and the pastor of the church was sitting right next to me, and she's staring. And then she turns and looks at me and says, "Brother Timothy, is phonics spelled wrong?" And sure enough, I looked up, and on the banner, they spelled it with an F. Phonics. So here we are, graduating children from a class where we supposedly were teaching them how to read, and our own banner was misspelled. So she quickly asked me to get up, and I had to very slickly slide, get up, walk around, pull the banner down while the person's still talking. And there's people with cameras taking pictures, and it was already up there for a good while. And people have already spoken for a good while before we even noticed it and took it down. But yeah, we were a learing center. We couldn't even spell phonics, and yet we were teaching kids how to read. Go figure. So that's this week's church story. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and don't forget, don't let what you've been through become you.